Here we go again. Lovely, nice one, Tony Macaroni, for writing that song for me. And here we are on Hemp Works, part of the Time for Hemp network, which is part of iHeartRadio. And tonight, I've got a lovely lady on board. Her name's called Ophiellia Chong. I met her through the internet. She's helped me out a lot. She got me into photography, I think. And then I had the pleasure of meeting you, Ophiellia, at the Oakland Museum when they done the marijuana exhibition. Yeah? So, Ophiellia, good evening.
Yes. Hey, how are you?
I'm absolutely stoked tonight. Yeah, I'm sitting in the middle of Transylvania. It's about 10 o'clock at night. They just turned the lights off. So I'm sitting in total darkness with all the stars above me. And I'm absolutely stoked to be able to talk to somebody like yourself. Yeah?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Well, I'm doing really well. It's 11:30 here in Los Angeles. It's bright. It's sunny. So we're on the opposite of you right now.
So, Ophiellia, right. We've just learned about Los Angeles, just learned about me. What do you do? Let's tell everybody what you actually do here, because you've got something very unique going on in life as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Well, what I have been doing for the last 20 years is working with photography. Everything for film. I was a creative director for film companies, released about 40 films, and then a creative director for film festivals. And then also I started in photography at Ray Gun. That was where everything began. I shot bands for Sony, Mercury, just about every label. And then about 10 years in publishing as a creative director for photo books. So now, just recently, in the last year and a half, January 8th, I stumbled on cannabis. And how that happened was my sister came to visit. And in the country she's from, it's illegal. And she has an autoimmune disease, which she takes handfuls of pharmaceuticals for, just to manage it.
Can I ask what country she's from?
Where she has been in the last 25 years based in China.
And there it's legal?
Illegal. That's why. That's why she's here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so she was here last year, January. That's 2015. And both of us are newbies. We didn't know what we were doing. So, of course, the bud tenders have no idea either. When you go in and you say you have autoimmune disease, they kind of look blank. And so basically the questions they ask you is, what do you need? And she said, I need to sleep. So they gave her 2 cookies, right?
Yeah, Mom.
The first cookie was fine, right? Yeah. But then the second one, we didn't know that you had to wait, right? They don't give you any of that information. And so she took too much, and it was the complete opposite. It was a sativa cookie. And she was paranoid, pacing the hallways. And it was a very bad experience.
Yeah.
But from that, when I was watching her ingest the cookies, I looked at her and I thought, she doesn't look like a stoner. I mean, that is not a stoner. And from there, Stockpot Images was born. And my mission is to destigmatize the user, because across the board on many stock agencies, if you look up cannabis user or even type in stoner, you get the stereotype.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help us, because that is what the media is using. They're going to these stock agencies and using those images. Yeah. So Stockpot began from that. It began out of love. And we launched last year, 4/20/2015, with about 20 photographers and about 2,300 images. Now we're over 160 photographers from around the world and 14,000 images, and growing by about 900 to 1,000 a month.
I must like to point out 2 things here. One, I'm part of Stockpot Images.
Yes.
Believe it or not. I get the great locations and I get the worst shots. And the other thing is, which is more important, was this, I don't like to use the word overdose, but the wrong form of medication. And when people take this plant and it makes them paranoid and it makes them stoned in a way which is not acceptable, it is a very, very frightening experience. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And I think now that we're finding out enough science to understand how that works and how that happens, and it's actually not quite necessary. Back in the day, we had to take plants that were full of THC, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to cure our end stage problems. And personally, I felt that to be stoned out your brains was a lot better than dying, but for a lot of people, that's not acceptable. Yeah? So
Right.
I can really empathise with what your sister went through, because when you go through not a nice experience of THC, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it can be very, very, very unpleasant. But we must remember that we can have very bad experiences in all sorts of things through caffeine, through alcohol, through other hard drugs. Yeah, at least the experience that is not nice through THC, the worst thing that happens if you just lay down and have to put up with it, it does not kill you. Yeah,
That's true.
That's true. Yeah.
But
So
however, my
yeah,
issue is that you can go online and Google as much as you can about every pharmaceutical and its
yeah,
side effect, right?
yeah,
And alcohol, everything.
yeah,
You know, basically with your body weight, there are charts that tell you if you weigh this much, this is how much alcohol you can ingest before you're deemed driving under the influence. But
yeah,
with cannabis, right now there is some, but it's a lot of it is anecdotal. And even when you go into a store with a bud tender, how are they trained to tell you what you need? Like, say, for instance, a woman goes in and says, I have really bad period cramps, and she's talking to a guy. The guy will kind of go, well, maybe you can try these suppositories, right? Or try the strain.
yeah.
But he has no education in it on how to medicate people.
Yeah.
And
May I tell you a story, Ophiellia? I've smoked cannabis from the age of about 13. I smoked it in India and Afghanistan and Pakistan. And I do remember sometimes in India smoking with the Sadhu people, right? And at that time, being a young man, about 19 years old, I'd smoke as much as possible, yeah? Through chillums, through the best hash you get. But sometimes I'd smoke one tiny little bit. I remember a very good experience going to Mazar Sharif in Afghanistan. And I got there with Afghani people, and I was used to smoking what they call a tola a day, or a tola per pipe, which is 10 grams in one pipe, which didn't really have any. It did have a psychoactive, but it wasn't a bad one. And I do remember smoking with them one tiny little piece of this Mazar Sharif stuff, and my God, it laid me on my back for about 24 hours. I couldn't even move. So with the cannabis, I don't think we're ever going to find out, because it's a vibrational plant. Yeah, I think science will find out certain things about CBDs and how much you could take of them. But THC is a funny one. Sometimes you can smoke a little bit to get you very stoned. Sometimes you can smoke it all day long, like I do when I'm in Jamaica, and she just make you feel nice. So, again, what you just said about the bud tenders, they're not trained. But on the other hand, THC is a very funny element, because a little bit can do a lot of things, and a lot of it can also do a lot of things. And I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but what I was trying to explain is the experience when it's not right is not nice, because I've been there myself. Yeah.
yeah, so has my dog.
Yeah.
My dog, unfortunately, ate an edible that was what I thought was out of reach, and
Yeah.
he had he basically just couldn't move. But what the great benefit was that I was able to completely defer him without him trying to run away. That was the best part of it. But he was out for 10 hours. It was quite. He looked relaxed, but he was definitely not happy about going into the
the dog world.
Yeah.
So anyway, but just to bring you back there, so you became involved. You got this magnificent career behind you, which was to do with photography and filming and all those things. And then through your sister, you found out about some benefits of what cannabis can do.
Yeah, because we didn't know anything. So I had to start from zero when I began stockpot images. And what it was from zero was just learning everything about the plant. I went out to farms, I met up with women, and just learned everything I could very quickly to launch the company.
Yeah. And the company is, just again, let's explain what your company is giving out some of the best images that I've ever seen. True images. Yeah. That's what stockpot is.
Yeah. Our images are of real people because what you see on other stock agencies, they're mostly models. Well, they're all models, and they look fake because my goal is healthcare. And when you're talking to an 80-year-old woman and you're trying to tell her this works for you, you show her a photo of a fake grandmother.
Yeah.
It doesn't fly. You need to show a photograph of a woman that looks like her, that looks like she is enjoying the plant or whatever she's doing to convince them, because images are the first thing you see. That is what you see when you open up a website, a book cover, everything. That's how you sell the product. And I really believe that the images that we have sell the product and also convey the message that the client wants. And that's what we're providing.
How is the company doing? I mean, 18-month-old companies are usually not doing quite so well. How are you doing as a company?
We're doing really well. We are able to pay our bills. We have money in the bank. It is all about patience. And one issue with this industry, the cannabis industry, is the so-called green rush. That most people think they can have an app or they have this and they're going to make millions. What a true business is that you have to be steady and you have to be patient and just keep building. And so now, about 16 months after, we're launching big because we're going to be in 4 magazines in the next month. Dope, Marijuana Ventures, Good Magazine, which is a mainstream magazine, and let's see, those 3, Dope, and Mary Magazine. So we're getting on people's radars, but it takes time to build something like that, and to have a collection that's big enough so people can actually go. And we just have a new client, is a publishing company, a mainstream publishing company. They're our client now, and they're licensing basically about 90% of the images in a new magazine from our collection.
Wow.
And they will be probably a monthly. I can't say the name yet, but that is one of our new clients. And they came to us through word of mouth, through me going out and meeting people constantly and saying, this is what we do, this is where we are, let me show you what we have. So it's a lot of groundwork.
I think I understand the amount of work that you put in. Obviously, most people, because they're outside the industry that are listening to the show, don't understand. I mean, like people like Casper that's running the motherboard here, he's been at it for 30 odd years. I've been at it for 25 years. There's a lot of people. I had on Ben Jonkers last year that's put in nearly 40 years of his life to make this cannabis thing happen. So when we see somebody come along like yourself, so you're getting, what I'm trying to say is you're getting quite a lot of interest, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I think in general is quite amazing for the industry overall, because it's always been quite a closed shop industry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So to see people like you go out and put it out into the mainstream, and the mainstream now is willing to accept it, I feel that we're making great steps forwards, and thank you for your work.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It goes forward with everything that's happening, and also, even though cannabis has been a medicinal usage in California since 1996, there are still. It doesn't mean people can't get arrested or have everything taken away from them. Yeah. So right now, even entering in the business into edibles or growing here, you have to. This is a minefield. There's so many city bylaws, county bylaws that change overnight. And you could be legal one day, and the next day you could have one thing that's just too close to something else, and you're shut down.
Yeah. I think I'll give them a big shout. Both of us have been down to see the Sisters of the Valley, and they had exactly the same problem. One day they was legal, and the next day they wasn't, which was like. And we all know that the Sisters of the Valley are doing absolutely amazing work, as many people are doing. But again, what you just said about the legality, one minute it's legal, and it's always legal, but then they put all this stuff in place where it's legislation, or you have to have this license or that license, or you can't do this, you can't do that. Yeah,
it's about it's all it takes is one person on a council who doesn't want it, right, or someone complaining, and once we get Proposition 64, it will be a lot more clear, just like it is in Oregon, Colorado, and Washington, D.C., and Alaska. We will have ground rules that people can actually follow and make sense of it. Of course, it's going to get amended and changed for certain things, but it's going to be something. We can't go on like we have in the last 20 years with dancing around, can we do this, can we not do this? And the fact that there is so much money going into this right now, mostly in ancillary, that once we have that proposition passed, it will change.
But can you explain that proposition, by the way? Because don't forget, you're an American, or you're American bound, and we have an international audience, so a lot of us don't know what that Proposition 64 is.
Well, what it's about is it's the Adult Usage Marijuana Act.
Yeah.
And on the ballots right now, it's called Proposition 64.
Yeah.
So what it talks about felonies. It talks about growing edibles. It follows. It's huge. So maybe what like say for instance, some of the revenues would be allocated to teen drug prevention, to training law enforcement, and also protecting the environment. There have been so many illegal farms on state land that has harmed the ecosystem, from water to trash to illegal logging. That will go away. Also testing, right? You want to know what you're smoking, where it's from. So, it also includes anti-monopoly provisions, and it protects small farmers. But again, there's two sides of this. There's some parts of this that is not quite making everybody happy. So we can't get into that discussion because it'll just go on forever. But
go on forever. I love it. I mean, how do you feel about it? Do you think there should be legislation? Do you think there should be rules and regulations, or do you think we should just be able to grow it freely?
No, because right now my concerns are testing, right, and also illegal use of state lands. Yeah. There are people who are poisoning the water, the land, leaving trash, and if we need to put a stop to that. Plus, also, I want proper dosage, just like for my sister. In Washington, it's 5 milligrams. Right, it starts at 5 milligrams per dose. Yeah. Oregon is 10. Colorado is 10. We need to have proper dosage for people who are coming into this who are new. Of course, someone like you or myself, we know our intake levels. A new person going into a store has no idea what 10 milligrams means. Yeah. Or being presented with a 1,000 milligram chocolate bar. How do you tell someone who instinctually can eat a whole chocolate bar, telling them you cannot eat that? You have to eat one small bit and wait an hour. Right? Yeah. Food is very difficult because as humans, we eat the whole bag. We eat the whole bar. We drink the whole bottle. But when you relate it to alcohol, we know one glass of wine or two martinis is a limit. But we don't know that about cannabis.
Unfortunately, because I had end-stage liver disease, and I'm a Viking, so I come from a drinking family. I stopped drinking for 6 years, and I've just started drinking a few beers recently again, local beers, because they're really nice, and my grandfather as well. With alcohol, it is a funny one, because at least with alcohol, if you're drinking off beer, you sort of fall over.
Well, you know your tolerance, right?
You know you're tolerant
And
to it, yeah.
because I haven't had a drink in 11 years.
11? My God. Any particular reason?
Yeah, it was, I saw it as a problem, and how it began was that I worked basically in an environment where everyone drank, right? And being a people pleaser, I went along, and I don't normally drink. I mean, I never drank. I never got drunk in high school or college, and until I was in this environment, it began. Are you in a restaurant? What is going on?
Of course you do. It's simple, isn't it? And that whole sort of industry is always revolved around alcohol.
Yeah. And so, but for cannabis, for someone going into it new or someone going back into it after years and years of not smoking, it's so different now. And most people are not going to go for flower, right? When it goes recreational, they're going to go for edibles. They're going to go for liquids. Yeah. They might not go for dabbing because dabbing involves a huge ritual. And so most people want convenience. They want to open up that bag and just dig right in. And we need to educate people on dosing. And part of Proposition 4, just like in Washington, Oregon, and again, is about dosing. Yes, there's a lot of people saying, well, 10 milligrams, that's not going to work for me. But the thing is, the new people coming into this don't know. Yes, you might want to argue, I need 1,000 milligrams. So that's fine. Then go buy 1,000 milligrams. But if I'm going to bring my mother or my sister or my cousin into this place, I need them to have proper dosage because they'll never come back. Right?
I agree with you totally. Yeah.
Yeah, one bad experience turns into word of mouth. And any edible company does not want bad word of mouth saying, oh, man, I had that edible. Right?
I hate always throwing it back to the alcohol industry. It'd be like the alcohol industry just opening up today, and then people are going out drinking bottles of whiskey, and then going, oh, that's a bad drug. Whereas we all know if you take one whiskey or two whiskeys or one brandy up, they can be very, very enjoyable, or even one glass of wine. You start drinking too much, it's too much.
Yeah, you don't want to go through that teen experience with cannabis by all of a sudden binging, because the moment you do that with cannabis, with all the propaganda that goes into it, you're thinking, oh my God, how do I stop this, right? Where do I go? So we really need to have proper dosing.
And of course, by the way, what we're talking about here is the actual element of THC, because all the other elements don't have that psychotropic effect. So there's just one element out of 183 elements that have been recognised. There's a guy in Canada that's recognised as 360, and out of the 187 elements that have been recognised, I believe now only 57 have actually been given chemical or element names. So one element inside of that plant is not the be-all and end-all, because there's loads of other elements that do loads of other things. They just found out one, I can't quite remember its name, I think they've given it a name like CGGN18, right, which actually helps the spermatozoa and the thing that happens in the lady. It helps to make those, when the spermatozoa meets the stuff that happens in the lady, it apparently opens up the double head, and that makes the baby very nice. And that's another element called GN18 or something, yeah? So every day we're finding out new elements about the plant that have total physical effects, but not psychotropic. So THC is not the be-all and end-all of what the cannabis plant.
How do we market that in an industry that's going recreational? Right? How do you market something medicinal when it's presented as a yummy, tasty chocolate bar or a really great iced tea?
Well, you've asked me a question, and I can only answer it as a Rastafari. Because I'm a broad-faced Rasta working on behalf of the plant, so I've got white skin. For me, the THC element of it, it does have some medical benefits, without a doubt. It also, for me, it's a very spiritual thing, and also recreationally, I'd rather use that over than any other drug that's on the planet, from MDMA to DMTs to alcohol. My first port of call for a recreational pleasure would be cannabis, even though I do believe the DMTs and all the other things have a place in life too. Yeah? So THC, understanding it chemically is just one element, and sometimes as well, when you look at the right science of it, it's actually an antagonist for the CB1 and CB2 receptors, which means it actually closes those down. And if you want true healing, from what the science is saying now, and from what my own experience is, you really need the CB1, CB2 more than the THC. But THC certainly has some amazing medical benefits. So I'm not trying to say that THC don't have a medical benefit. All I'm saying is when you look at it scientifically, we need all these other elements in it, and that causes regeneration. And THC is more of a spiritual, recreational, and certainly has a place in medicine. But generally speaking, it's the other part of the plant, which is the whole plant, the full plant, not just its leaves and flowers, but its stems and its fruits, the whole thing. When you use it all, it has the entourage effect, and that brings us on to regeneration rather than just repair. Sorry to take over there.
Oh, it's okay. I'll just talk a little bit about the collection. So just bring it back to stock back to the collection. Yeah. So what we cover just about everything from seed to sale: kitchens, cooking, science, medical, testing, business, from 2-year-olds and 9-year-olds. And our collection is growing in that way too. We also have video and drone film too. Where are you, Steve? Are you in a restaurant or an elevator?
I'm sitting in the local bar, which closed about an hour ago.
Okay.
I'm sitting in the local bar because it's the only place that's got internet.
Oh, okay.
And you should be able to hear anything because I've got my headset on. But
oh, okay. Oh, no, I hear everything. It sounds like a party there. Anyhow, so our collection is growing, and we have photographers around the world from everywhere from South Africa, Canada, the States. Plus, some of our photographers go under different names because they're in industries or countries where it's illegal. So to protect my photographers, we use synonyms for them.
Yeah. And there's some lovely images up there.
Oh, thank you. It's been a great journey acquiring them, and as we go forward, a lot of I would say 99% of the photographers now approach me, and I look at their work, and I take on most of them right now. So because everyone has stuff on their hard drives, they love the plant, they love the photograph, and now they have a place to put it because we offer 50% in commissions, which is the highest in the industry. Plus, we treat you with respect, unlike some other agencies. And also embedded in our website that if you try and screen cap or drag and drop off an image, the screen goes black. Because I want to protect our photographers and their work from copyright infringement.
So any great photographers out there, I do advise you to get hold of Ophiellia through the Stockpot Images, because there is some great images up there, and as you just heard from Ophiellia, she really is protecting our interests. I mean, she's given me so much advice you wouldn't believe it.
Well, we have images from 1978 Kona, Hawaii. of grows on there from George Post. Gorgeous images of people walking through fields on the island of Kona, of Hawaii actually, near Kona, with giant plants and just crawling through piles of shake. It's really, I mean, we have images like that. We also have images of drug busts. We have just about everything that covers cannabis.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And so we also, because I'm preparing for the future, what it is building this collection for the future of cannabis by offering images that no one has because it's an exclusive collection. Plus, we need to get away from that bush, that one bush that everyone uses, because right now you have the general populace thinking you're smoking the leaves. They have no idea that there's a flower. They think it's the leaf that you smoke because that's the iconic image of marijuana, aka cannabis.
Yeah.
And Stockpot is there to educate the people that it goes from seed or clone to mid-stage to cola to ripe flower, right? That's what you're smoking, and that it comes in so many different strains. Plus, we have the largest collection of strains in the world, over 1,000 of them, and it's growing each day. So everything from Alaska Thunderfuck to God's Vagina, right?
Yeah.
Which is out of Oregon. We have just about every strain that you can imagine, and that again is also growing every day. Macro images, gorgeous stacked macro images that no one else has as well.
So after all this stuff you've been doing with the photography, you've been moving around this photography industry, and it sounds like you're really enjoying yourself now, being in this the cannabis world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find it excites you?
I've found that I've made some of the most amazing connections. One of them being you, and
you.
friends out there. It's just really great just to meet new people and wonderful, passionate people that are so in love with this plant that they grow it despite the illegalities that we have in this country.
Yeah.
Since it's
not just your country, all around the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
All around the world, the legality of it and the legality of it is so in question all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have issues here, and it's been prohibited in California for 100 years, in the States probably about 78 right now. And it's the same thing with alcohol. Right? There was a black market underground. I think bottles were floated across the Great Lakes over to Buffalo. And so what we have now is we have this industry that is a little bit more prepared than alcohol back then. But it's going to be very wild, wild west, because everyone's going to have to find their footing very quickly. And to enter this market now is still good, but right after November 8th, after we have our election, if you're not in the market, you're going to be 5 years behind everybody else.
Yeah.
Because you're 5 years behind in connections, in growing, in everything. So you really need to, if you want to be part of this industry, you need to be in it now.
When you call it an industry,
what do I call this industry?
What you call it an industry, I call it an evolution.
Well, yes, it's an evolution in thinking, but it is an industry that I define as money. People are putting money into it. People don't put money into an evolution. It just happens.
Yeah.
But people put money and effort into an industry to create it.
Yeah.
Evolution is something that's more organic and natural happening.
Yeah. And that is actually personally where I see it. I believe that the cannabis industry is actually a cannabis evolution, because the way that it works, in the environment, the way that it works inside of the body, when you listen to people like Dr. Robert Melameda, it's actually an evolution that's taking place, because it will change so many things.
Yeah, but that's two different things.
Yeah.
Evolution is one thing, industry is another. The people in an industry don't care about evolution, right? What they care about is getting their company funded, making money, right? That's the industry. They know what the plant is and what it does, but really they're there to make money.
Yeah.
And whether you feel all warm and fuzzy about the plant, that's not making them money. What's making them money is packaging, who they're selling to, their marketing and their branding.
Yeah.
That new consumer.
And it's a very big market.
It's huge. It's just
huge,
like anything. It is huge, and it's going to get larger. But right now, we also, in the States, any product in Colorado has to stay within the state lines. Same with Oregon, Washington, and California as well. So if I make a vape pen here with the oils, I cannot sell it in Colorado unless I have a plant in Colorado and I fill it with the oils there.
Yeah.
Unlike Coca-Cola, where Coca-Cola has plants everywhere. Right, so they're making the same drink in every state. It's just that the bottling plant's closer to that state, where we can't cross state lines. So whatever is selling in California has to sell in California. However, California is going to be a $1.6 billion market in 2018. By 2020, they predict $6 billion.
Yeah.
And that is what I call the industry.
Okay. Taking it back to my conversation with Ben Jonkus last week, Ben is the emperor of hemp. He invested €5 million into Romania last year. He's just invested about another 20 million, because here we're not just doing what they call the extracts or the food or the medicine, but the fiber market for the automobile industry has just literally quadrupled. Yeah. And on the back of that, and he's just had a massive order, believe it or not, from a company in Turkey that makes cigarette papers for most of the cigarette manufacturers, including Philip Morris. So he's supplying the industrial paper for them, because the paper that goes around the toxic cigarettes is hemp paper. So besides this sort of THC, CBD, extract, infusion market, the other side of the market is absolutely ballistic. The fiber market, the building market, the plastics market, the seed market, the oil market. When you bring all those in as well,
right,
it completely changes the view of what people think possibly cannabis is, because it has so many other uses.
Yeah, well, it has, and also you explaining or educating people on the difference between hemp and cannabis. Right. That is also a, like you can call it, evolution of thought. Right?
Yeah.
What is it, and what is the difference, and who's growing it? Right. What is it for? Because you have two different plants. One is, like you said, fuel, clothing, building materials, paper, just about anything. And
Absolutely.
the other plant is something that goes into the body.
Yeah.
The other one is it was really great. It clothes you. It keeps you warm. It is almost like mother and father, right? Yeah. You have mother as a nurturer and father as a protector.
I got you. Oh, Ophiellia, I got you on, right? Because I'm a hemp historian, right? And I actually got to meet Linda McCartney. And obviously Linda McCartney was married to Paul McCartney. Linda McCartney come from the McCartney family, which is the Kodak family. Yeah. Yeah. And the Kodak family were one of the first people to do photographs. Yeah. And if you go back in time, yeah, you know those old sort of like brown paper photographs of in America, 1700s, 1800s, or even in Europe. Right, the joy of that was they were the box camera, yeah, or I think what they called the box camera. And basically, that was a piece of paper put in a box, and then they lit some sulfur up, and it burnt the image onto the paper. All that paper was hemp paper. Because of the cellulose inside of it, it was the sodium that burnt the image into it. So all those original old photographs, if you actually go and look at them, you will find that are actually made on hemp paper. And I believe Kodak were one of the first companies to discover this. And I believe that Kodak company were one of the first big photographic companies. So in your profession, if you even take that back in history, you will find that it had a hemp-related history to it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, hemp and cannabis goes back 5,000 years in China.
Oh,
so
even more. Again, you're Chinese. Yeah, I believe. Yeah. The Chinese people have been using it for more than 5,000
And
years.
also, Steve, who's the biggest manufacturer of accessories and ancillary in cannabis? Mainland China.
Mainland China. And secondly, Romania, by the way.
Well, but mainland China makes just about 99% of all the vape pens, the rigs,
Yeah, but that's the plastic side of it. The actual biggest growing region in the world. Oh.
I'm talking ancillary. I'm not talking about hemp. I'm talking about cannabis.
Sorry, I lost my headphones. The biggest growing region in the world is actually Romania.
Yeah, but I'm talking about ancillary, right, to the cannabis industry, which is China. It's the vape, plastics. Everything that supports packaging, that supports the cannabis industry is created in China. In China, cannabis is illegal.
Well, hemp is.
No.
Hemp's not, but
cannabis
is. Yeah, because they are a very large hemp grower, and also the Chinese people are the largest producers of hemp fabrics. And believe you me, they've invested very heavily over the last 20 years. Some of the fabrics that are coming out of China are unbelievable.
Yeah, we all love that stuff there.
Yeah, I mean that's just how it is. Yeah, if you want hemp fabric, you go to China. End of.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's all there. You know.
It's all there. And again, as you said, a fantastic history in it. And again, the Chinese government recognised 20 years ago that hemp was a very interesting product, and they invested very heavily into the machinery, the factories, and the paper mills to do that. And they're waiting for the industry actually to take off because they're already set to go. But the actual largest growing region on hemp is Romania.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw your photographs of Romania. I will probably process that this weekend. Lovely images of the field. Very nice.
Oh, they're beautiful. Well, that particular one farm, that belongs to Hemp Works. That was 5,000 hectares. 5,000 hectares. And I think they had at least 7 different landrace varieties growing and 1 import. And Ben, from my interview with him last week, has now just literally quadrupled that for the year 2017. So 2017, Hemp Works Company will be growing in Romania in excess of 200,000 hectares.
Wow.
And none of it is on the canopy, and none of it is on the barbed wire. It's all literally just everywhere. Yeah? And the Romanian people are one of the last people on the planet that know actually how to produce it in a traditional way as well. Where they take it by hand, harvest it by hand, wet it by hand, everything by hand. It's absolutely amazing.
When is the harvest going to be?
Now, September. We just started. We start tomorrow. Tomorrow we go and do the harvest.
Wow.
Yeah. Harvesting starts tomorrow.
It'll take a lot of photos.
I try to. You know me with photographs, I get good locations and bad photographs.
Yeah. How long are you going to be out there?
Well, I'm actually looking to live here. I've relocated here. So this is my summer home. I don't know whether I can do the winter because it drops to minus 30.
Ooh. No, that's not good for you.
I'm not. Oh, that's not good for me. But I'm going to try and move into the main city and see if I can last out here, because we've got so much going on here. I don't really want to run away, but if I do run away, I'll run away to India or Africa.
Mm-hmm. Well, India in the winter should be nice.
Oh, go in the winter is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with we're almost out of time. Just in closing, what we need to for Stockpot Images, if anyone's interested in submitting their work, you can just email me at hello@stockpotimages.com, and I'll take a look at your work and talk to you, and we'll go from there. We're growing, and we're the only cannabis stock photography agency in the world.
Seriously, and actually the best.
and the best.
Best.
And the only, and the best. And we supply right now to all the magazines and startups, clients. And there we go. It's sort of like we're just growing, and we're the only ones right now. And right now, probably forever, because I've locked everybody in at a higher commission. And plus, I protect everybody. We're basically a very big family.
Well, personally, on a personal note, Ophiellia, regardless of where I ever go with my work with you, it is a real pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming on air with us. Casper, do you want to jump in anywhere?
No, I'm enjoying listening, though, I can tell you that.
Yeah, Casper, you're too sweet.
You two should meet up, honestly. You got a lot in common. Yeah?
Oh, Casper.
And,
so
go see Casper.
Let's see. Portland. I won't be in Portland for a while. I will be in Denver September 19th to sit on a panel with Wanda James, who's the only African-American woman to own a dispensary in Colorado. That'll be September 20th. And then I will be in Toronto, November, to speak at Tweed, which is one of the biggest growers in Canada. And San Francisco, October 19th for the Silicon Valley talk. So right now, and I'll be in New York in October as well for the Digital Media Licensing Association. That's the biggest.
Go see Sue. Go see Sue Rosen now. Yeah, she's a lovely lady.
In New York?
So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, you can hook us up. You can hook us up through email.
Yeah. Sue's done some amazing work with there. I love Sue because Sue's one of mine. She's a Hep C, a hepatitis C person that cured her hepatitis C with cannabis. There's a few of us out there. Sue Rosen from New York is one of them. And again, a lovely activist.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Oh, Ophiellia, thanks for coming on there with us.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Casper.
I so look forward to meeting you again.
Thank you so much, and thanks for staying up late, Steve. I know it's almost past your bedtime. So you gotta get into your jammies now and crawl into bed.
Oh, actually, no. I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Because,
smoking pot here is totally illegal, and I got a little bit of pot at home. So what I do now, I just have one spliff a day, and I go home and smoke that quite late at night on my own. I'll sit down in my own house, have my little spliff, talk to me jar, and I fucking love it. Yeah.
Perfect.
I know I've been living in all the places where you smoke all day, but sometimes with this marijuana, if you ain't got a lot, you just get a little bit, take her home at night, and smoke her in your place, and she does everything you need to do.
Well, yeah. I only imbibe after I finish working, so usually it's around 10 o'clock at night. So it's my reward for a long day.
That's how I see it at the moment. When I'm in Jamaica, I smoke it from the moment I open my eyes to the moment I close them. When I'm in other countries, that's the way I am. But here, I'll get one spliff at night, and now I've finished my radio show, as you say, just done my work. It didn't feel like work because it's absolutely beautiful to talk to you. It's beautiful to be on air. So I'm going to close down now. I'll go home and have my little spliff. Oh, man, I'm going to love it.
Your little spliff. Well, I can get high licking off a wrapper, believe me, because my tolerance is so low. So thank you, Steve, and thank you, Casper, and thank you, Time for Hemp, and this is so nice of you, and I thank you for your support, and I appreciate it, and have a wonderful rest of the day. And for you, Steve, evening,
wonderful.
sweet dreams, big hugs. A tickle underneath the chin.
Yeah. Sending that big old over to you.
I know.
How that comes across, that big old.
And I give you a tickle under your chin. So good night.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. I love you.
Now. Love you. Love you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. The only broadcasting network dedicated to ending the global war on drugs on iHeartRadio.
Judge Gray.
Well, thank you. I would, now that I guess I am the last presenter, like to comment quickly about a few other things that have been discussed, and then I would like to talk to you about children. But that issue really has not been addressed particularly, except maybe by Reverend Richardson. The first is that if this state of California were to in fact make this marijuana no longer illegal for adults, that is not at all the same thing as condoning it. We don't condone the smoking of cigarettes or the using of alcohol, etc. So to put that label on it, I think, is inappropriate. Number two is I have an understanding that today, as we speak here in Sacramento, that there are thousands of people in prisons in the state of California today for doing nothing but smoking marijuana. Thousands in prison for doing nothing but smoking marijuana. Why? Because they're on parole for one reason or another. And once they get off parole for whatever that offense was, if they smoke marijuana, it's a violation of parole, and they're immediately put back into state prison with all of the benefits that they had accrued, getting jobs, etc., supporting their families, being lost. Another one is that the tougher we get with regard to marijuana prosecution, literally, from my experience as a judge, and I have seen this in Orange County forever, the softer we get with the prosecution of everything else. And that is something that we simply have so many resources, and if we're spending them in prosecutions of marijuana, we are not spending them for prosecutions of rape, homicide, etc. Then, marijuana will never put this violence that we heard earlier out of business. All of these statistics that you heard earlier about the violence and the killings of both the police officers and everyone else is occurring under today's system of marijuana prohibition, etc. The only way you put these Mexican cartels out of business and these other violent creatures out of business is to undercut the price, to make it no longer illegal so that you don't have that enormous profit motive to get these people involved with that violence, etc. The only way you do it is to undercut the price, and Assembly Bill 390 is a really good place to start. Otherwise, there are marijuana today that is stronger in our society without a doubt. But the reason why it's out there and stronger is because of marijuana prohibition. That there are lots of people who would much prefer, like you said, not to use the stronger stuff, but the cardinal rule of prohibition is always push the stronger stuff. So if I'm a bootlegger and I run into the same criminal justice problems for selling a barrel of beer as a barrel of bourbon, guess which one I'm going to push? The bourbon, because I make more money. It's the same thing with marijuana. Nothing is going to be legalized in this state. It is a program of the strictly regulated distribution. It wouldn't be legalized. It's a strictly regulated distribution, just like alcohol and Cigarettes, we hopefully will not advertise them. Please put into your legislation not to allow this to be advertised. We want to de-glamorize it, not glamorize it. So no advertising, and hold people accountable for their actions. I know I'm going on, but I'd like to talk about children for a couple of minutes, because today our marijuana laws are putting our children in harm's way. We are continuing with this failed program for all of its defects, so-called, because we want to reduce the exposure of a lifestyle of marijuana usage and marijuana selling to our children, and it's doing the opposite. Today, it is easier for our young people to get marijuana than it is alcohol. And if you don't want to listen to me, ask any teenagers you can find. They will tell you that because of alcohol prohibition, or marijuana prohibition. And Reverend Richardson kind of stole one of my lines, because it's true, because the illegal dealers do not ask for ID. So let's make it less available for children by regulating and controlling it. Number two, adult drug dealers will recruit children to sell drugs. They will recruit them into their own drug distribution system. For $50 in cash, you can buy all of the 15, 16-year-olds in the inner city or anywhere else that you want to. It's chump change for the adult drug dealer. It's lots of money for a kid. So you use them as gophers and lookouts and couriers, and as soon as their reliability is established, then they're trusted to sell small amounts of drugs out in the communities. And who do they sell to if they're out there doing it? I assure you, no one in this room. They're going to sell to their 14, 15, 16-year-old peers. That is despicable, and it's caused by drug prohibition. So I say, let's reverse that, let's turn it around, let's regulate it, let's control it, because this prohibition is not working. I believe it fervently. I am so concerned about our children. I'm so concerned about these illegal marijuana out there with all of its ramifications. I want to reduce those harms by passing your legislation, and I commend you again for these hearings.